Good evening.
Use your Michael.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the council meeting. Would everyone please rise to honor our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. God, this chicken needs new wheels. Okay. The March 4th combined agenda and regular meeting of the Monroe Township Council is hereby called to order. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Miriam Cohen.
Present.
Okay. Councilman Charles DePiero.
Here.
Councilman Michael Markell.
Here.
Councilwoman Rupa P. Siegel.
Here.
Council Vice President Terrence Banzora.
Here.
Thank you. Would the Township Clerk please read the Sunshine Law into the record?
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, it is hereby announced and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting that adequate notice has been provided by the following. 1. Posted on the bulletin board within the municipal building on December 29, 2023, and remains posted at that location for public inspection. 2. Printed in the Home News Tribune and the Cranberry Press on December 29, 2023. 3. Posted on the Monroe Township website. And 4. Sent to those individuals who have requested personal notice. In accordance with Chapter 3, Section 17 of the Monroe Township Code, public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes unless further time is granted by the Council President.
Thank you. Proclamation, it is Save the Soil Day, is March 21st, 2024. At this time, I would ask the Honorable Mayor, Stephen DeLina, to please go to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here for the Reed proclamation. Wait a minute. This is a mistake. I thought this was for George Reed. I got all excited for a George Reed proclamation. Patty, obviously you'll get your due, but you know what? I do want to say something about Patty's better half in life, Mr. George Reed. 31 years of working for Monroe Township. And, you know, at least my time being involved on the council and now as mayor, George, I don't think you ever were really truly publicly recognized for your service. And even after you retired, you still were around. So please allow me to, and everyone else here, just to give George Reed a hearty congratulations for what you did. Got you, Mr. Reed. Good one, good one. Patty Reed. Again, you know, it's as I talk about my time involved in the town, and there's certain individuals who work for the town you get really close with professionally, but also on a friendly basis. And Patty Reed was the epitome of that. Obviously my time on the council, vice president, sharing the dais with you, and now my time as mayor. From my perspective, Patty, I got to see the inner workings of not only what you do for this town, but also out and about as mayor to see your impact on the many, many citizens of this town. And, you know, there's that unicorn, right? Once in a while. And you are truly that Monroe Township unicorn, truly. Obviously, your relationship with your coworkers, not only here in Town Hall, all the other council members, but again, that focus on the citizens of Monroe Township, that friendly voice on the phone, that email, all of those citizens who would pop up into your office, how you handled them was truly a class act. And your retirement obviously is going to be very difficult time for all of us, but also a time to reflect on that service, a reflection of that friendship that we all made. And Patty, your coworkers here, your family, that good feeling that we get when we think of Patty Reed, I hope that you can think of us in that high level that we all hold you. My friends, I'd like to read this proclamation to you, and then we're going to call Patty up for a little hug and kiss session, pictures, and then for us to wax poetically about how important your professionalism was to Monroe Township, but again, more importantly, your friendship. Congratulations on your retirement, Patty Patricia E. Reed. With great appreciation of your 27 years of dedication and commitment, thank you for going above and beyond serving the citizens of the Township of Monroe. Wishing you the best on your new adventure with much respect and gratitude. Congratulations, the proud mayor of Monroe Township, Stephen DeLina, and the proud Township Council members of this great town, February 1st, 2024, your official date. Patty Reed, come on up, baby.
Okay. My family has bets on how much I could get through this. I know all of you are betting on me. I love to think you're all here for the Save Soil proclamation, but I'm going to keep that in the back of my head to try to help me get through this, because I'm a big mush. If you know me, I'm a mush. So it's going to happen. I already hear it in my voice. I'm done. Okay, so I just wanted to thank the mayor and the council for recognizing my 27 years here with Monroe Township. I was very hesitant in taking the clerk's role. I didn't know if I wanted to. I think Alan was present in the room. Mayor Tamburro called me in, and he said, "What's the matter?" And I just told him how I was feeling. I didn't know if I wanted to take on the role. I didn't know how it was going to pan out. And he just sat me down and he said, "Listen, trust me, I will never let you fall. And I will always have your back." And he was true to his word till his last day. And I have to say that Mayor DeLina has also taken on that same role, the mayor as well as all of the council members. I think I've worked with Mayor DeLina about 12 years or so. I kind of loved watching his progression from council president, and into the mayor's seat. And it was his path. And everyone has continued between the mayor, the council, and the administration to give me and my office unwavering support. And along with the administration, I couldn't have done my job without all of you. And I don't know if everybody knows, but every municipal office in the township works under the mayor and administration. But my office works under the council. The council is our boss. So to think every 2 years your boss or bosses can change due to an election, it's true. It happens. It happened through the 25 of my 27 years in the clerk's office. And I worked with so many people, so many amazing council members that I have grown very good professional and personal relationships with. And I am grateful for each and every one of you. I know I leave here with a full heart. I've worked together with all of you, and your confidence and your unwavering support made my job easier, because I knew I had the support system behind me. To my office, Christine, Tanya, and Lorena, I know I leave the office in more than capable hands of all of them, with Christine as the clerk. It was my honor to have worked with all of you, and always remember, when it gets tough, what do we do, Tanya? We rise above.
Rise above.
They're all like, oh, cut it out already. I'm like, rise above, rise above. Just smile and just keep on going. To my Monroe family, my department heads, the employees, and the professionals. The clerk's office is fortunate to work with every office within the municipal umbrella, whether it's for purchasing, elections, permits, meetings, anything that they need to get done to get onto the meeting, they come to us. We work well with every single department. I've never had any worries of our relationships. I leave here with so many lifelong friendships. You are my friends. I love and respect each and every one of you. To my family, George, my husband, who retired 8 years ago on the same day that I retired last month. I was going to talk about how he's sore that he never got one of these, but the mayor already handled that. same, we're still on the same. He pushed me to retire, so watch what you wish for, because now I'm home. I'm not late for dinner anymore. I'm there. Yep, his vacation is over. He better find a hobby. To my sons, Christopher and Tyler, you are my purpose. I love you. And to my brothers and sisters that are here with me today, I thank you, each and every one of you, for your love and support, and always being there for me as my sounding board, as my confidants. Anything that we ever need, we know we always have each other's back. It's no different from any other family, my work family and my blood family. Last but not least, to the residents of Monroe Township, I've always tried to greet everyone with a smile and kindness, and I've always received the same in return. No matter what the issue, no matter what even if it was a political issue, I've always had a very well working relationship with everybody, no matter who they were or what they were there for. And I thank you for that opportunity to help and be there for each and every one of you for the last 27 years. This is not goodbye. I live here. I raised my family here. Monroe is in my blood. I will see you soon, and thank you for this honor.
Thank you. Thank you, Patty. Mr. Weinberg, before I ask for the council comments,
Sure.
I know you wanted to say something.
Well, thank you, Council President. I'll be very brief because I certainly don't want to go before the council. It's obviously been a full 7 years of us working hand in hand on a daily basis. Patty is the consummate professional, one of the fairest and most decent people that I know. Always great to give terrific advice, super funny. And at times, this job can be a little stressful. And so you really need people that you can bounce ideas off of and really rely on. And there really is no one better, until Christine comes along now, who can do this job as clerk. And I learned a lot from her, and I will appreciate our friendship and all that you did for me to help me become a better administrator and advice. So wish you nothing but the best in your retirement.
Thank you.
Well, Patty, tonight I would like to remind you and tell you again what I've told you privately. It has been a sheer pleasure to work with you, and I know you will enjoy your retirement. I wish to know if George still is cooking. I find this intriguing.
The other day, I'm like, what's changed? I'm cooking now, and I don't like it.
You see? I knew that. But on a serious note, the clerk's office requires a high degree of professionalism. It requires the ability to work with disparate groups of people on a regular basis. Patty always exemplified those words. Plus, she had a level of respect for the staff with whom she worked that not everyone has. She valued them, their contributions to the work that needed to be done, and she lobbied for them when she thought perhaps not everyone was seeing the value of each and every member of her staff. That is a very special behavior, and I was always grateful for it because it reminded me of how good you were at your job. And what you did was train the people with whom you worked and saw to it that they had opportunities to learn more about the work they did. Again, That does not always occur, and that's a tribute to you that that occurred. I do remember being stopped and you're saying, Council President, I need to be sure you understand that this is the work that so-and-so does and she shouldn't get left behind. That's important, and not everyone who's in charge remembers that about the people with whom they work. You became my friend, I became yours, and yet that never interfered with having a professional working relationship. Those things are very important. With that said, I am going to move through the council. Mr. Van Zura, Council Vice President, you wish to go next? Which you will, yes.
Sure, of course. For Patty? Why not? Let me say this. In all your years, I've lived in the town 27 years. I've only been on the council 3, and before that it was the planning board. But you've been the consummate professional. You've done your job. You've done it well. I don't think people realize how difficult that job could be, particularly when it gets to be around election time and making sure that everything is done properly so we have fair elections. And you and I know that if there was anything wrong, she would hear about it. You know, it's very similar to our police. The police go out there, they do a great job, and you know, they keep us safe. You don't hear about them because they're doing a good job. But if you mess up, that's when you hear about it. And you haven't messed up. So for all the amount of time you put in to not mess up is quite remarkable. And then I also look at it this way, and you said it yourself. You treat people nicely. That might be the biggest tribute I could give you. Because in all the stuff that we do, all the people that we deal with, there's people that are nicer to you, and there's people that are not as nice to you. But when you can treat them nicely and treat them fairly and with respect, that is the ultimate goal, and that's what makes you the person that you are. So I just want to thank you for all that you've done all this time. Thank you.
Councilwoman Siegel, please.
Oh, Patty. So, Patty, I don't even know if you remember when we first met. Do you remember when we first met? You probably don't. So I was that person that came in panicking because I had to fill out raffle licenses. Gaming Commission changed all the rules. My entire PTA was scared of filling out the raffles. And I remember Scott from the Gaming Commission said, go find the clerk's office. And I said, where is the clerk's office? I have no idea. So I find the clerk's office, find Patty. I come in, for those who know me, I always have lists upon lists of questions. I came in with an enormous list of questions, and she sat with me and went through every question. You didn't push me out the door. You said, come back to me when you get to filling out the next piece of the process. And the one promise you said was, please pass this along to the other PTAs so that they don't all come to me with these questions, which I did. I had a whole little procedure manual that I passed down, at least in our PTA. So when I think of you, I think of patience and willingness. You didn't know me. I came in with this question. You sat there with me and spent that time until I felt comfortable. When I came on to the council, you did the same thing. I walked into your office, you sat me down, and you worked with me. You showed me the agendas, you showed me maps, you showed me all kinds of stuff, but you sat there with me. So when I look at you, I see patience and willingness, and I know you give that back to our community too, with every resident who comes into that office. So I wish you well. Thank you for your 27 years. I look forward to maybe going for a walk and having some coffee with you one day soon. But enjoy your retirement, very well deserved. Thank you for everything.
Councilman Marquez.
Mrs. Reed, I really don't like you very much. Actually, I've known you probably the shortest out of anybody on this up here. And I want to thank you for putting up with me for the last 2 years. I've had some questions that you answered multiple times from me, as you know, and I do appreciate it. And I hope you're not retiring because of me, which you guaranteed me you weren't. But I've employed tons of people over the 40 years I was in business, and there are very few people that I've employed that can match up to what you've done here and the job you've done in this town. There's not much more I can say. You know how I feel about you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Councilman DePiero, please.
Patty, what can I say? Growing up in Jamesburg, Reed was like McDonald's. I tell you, the name Reed, and I knew George and his family, Charlie and everybody, and then Patty came along, and then I said, "Who's this Patty Reed? Who's this Patty Reed?" And we got to see who Patty Reed was, and we watched you from day one all the way to now. And it's the only thing I could say is you never changed. I've never heard a bad word to all the years I've been here. And that's saying a lot, because everybody that's experienced working with you and every position that you were here, as our mayor said before and our council president said, you dealt with every situation, and you treated everybody more fair, square, from the county, the state, from the township, with everybody. And my personal learning experiences, Councilman Markle just said, we dealt with a lot, and you was always there for me, and you was always there for the mayor, council, administration. Can't thank you enough, and hopefully your retirement will be just as well as your years here in Monroe. Stay well.
Thank you.
Before we take a 1-minute break for pictures, Christine has asked if she can take the mic.
I'll keep it short and sweet, but Patty, on behalf of me and Tanya and Lorena, we just want to thank you for your leadership. You are a wonderful boss, true mentor and friend, and I just want to thank you for believing in all of us. You always said you were only as good as your team, and you truly built us up. And we never wanted to let you down. So I hope that I make you proud as the new township clerk. And I thank you very much for everything that you have given to the office. We love you. We'll miss you, and don't be a stranger.
I love you too.
They're taking the break? Who's taking pictures, right? We're going to take about no more than 5-minute break, folks, to take some pictures, please. I'm sure someone always wants their camera out, if I'm wrong. And then we will reconvene.
Okay.
Okay?
Take care. I will.
Agenda meeting is called to order again. Thank you all. What time will we call to order?
7 o'clock.
We're up to item 6 on our agenda. The ordinance for second reading. I will ask the clerk to please read them.
Ordinance 02-2024-003, an ordinance of the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, to authorize a conservation restriction agreement for real property known and designated as Tax Block 60, lots 28.4 and 28.4 Q Farm, also known as 330 Schoolhouse Road on the official tax map of the Township of Monroe for open space. Ordinance 02-2024-004. Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, appropriating $2,900,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,396,640 bonds or notes of the Township to finance part of the cost thereof. Ordinance 02-2024-005. Bond ordinance providing for improvements to Applegarth School in and by the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, pursuant to a shared services agreement with the Township Board of Education, appropriating $5 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,761,900 bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof. Ordinance 02-2024-006. Ordinance appropriating $4,300,000, $2,300,000 of which is from a State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs grant, and $2 million of which is from the Middlesex County Open Space, Recreation and Farmland and Historic Preservation Trust Fund grant for the acquisition of property for use as open space in and by the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey.
Thank you. Item 7, call the council's attention to the resolutions for consideration under the consent agenda at the March 4th, 2024 regular meeting. It's R3 2024-076 through R3 2024-101. Any resolutions that you wish removed from the consent agenda, please state now.
Yes, thank you, Council President.
Any resolutions that any council person wishes removed from the consent agenda, that information should be shared now. I'm sorry.
Yes, Council President, I have one. R3 2024-088.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it. Any other council members have a resolution they would like removed from the consent agenda? Thank you. We'll move to the public comment section of our agenda. Remember, this is limited to agenda items only, and speakers are limited to 5 minutes. May I have a motion to open the public comment section, please?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public comment section is open. Please come to the mic and give us your name and address for our records.
George Kunkelman, 5 Killicourt, Monroe. On the consent agenda, the first item,
We can't hear you, George.
lights on.
We need a course in microphones, I'm convinced.
I do.
I do. We all do, I'm sure. Go ahead.
Okay. The first item, 076, I'd like to know what the value of that item is estimated at allocation.
Mr. Weinberg?
On 076, the ADA, the Housing and Community Development Citizens Advisory Committee, that's a grant application for $166,000 that flows through the Community Development Block Grant through the county and to certain municipalities, and we can apply and designate it for a certain project. So it's $166,000. for the grant that we're applying for.
Okay. Continuing on to item 097 on page 3, which is temporary budget appropriations. How much are we talking about?
I'll have to give me 1 second to pull up the numbers, but ultimately what we're doing here is putting in place the money to allow us to be able to get through May, at which point hopefully we would be in the position to pass a budget. So I'll just give me 1 second to pull up that exact number.
Okay.
This also includes debt service payments and other contractual obligations.
While you're doing that, let me skip ahead to 099, which is contract for general engineering services for the water tank. How much is that?
Sure. And I'll probably have Joe answer that question. On your previous question, if I could go back to it real quick,
Sure.
Council
Please.
President. So I think the total, actually, I know the total amount is $54 million. That would get us to that point. That includes both the township budget, the utility budget, debt service, and capital to get us through probably May or June at that point. And in terms of item 90, did you say 99?
Yes.
Joe, do you want to talk to that for just a second? I have it.
But I'm going to go back to 98, and I'm curious what the amount of transfers are under 98.
Sure. So the amount of transfers under 98 is $237,000 on our $70 million budget. We're allowed,
Yeah, it's nothing.
And then on 99,
You're good?
I think it's.
I didn't write it down.
I want to give you an exact number, Mr. Gonkin. $71,200.
Council President, that's all I have at this time.
Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address us? Again, please come to the mic. State your name and address for our records. Dr. Prakash.
Thank you. Prakash Parat, 33 Dana Drive. President, just want to appreciate some of the ordinance and, really feel good about it. $5 million towards Applegarth School. I really appreciate that, well deserved. And I'm sure we are going to do more. And also for the open space, we are buying about 33.8 acres for $2 million. Looks like that's great. And we are getting $2.3 million as a grant from New Jersey for open space. What my request is also, we are, constructions are going on. We are cutting the forest. So reforestation in certain open space, that is the request. We can get experts from New Jersey Department. And we have volunteers, youngsters who are ready to do that. So that is the request. Thank you. And the last one is, I always appreciate the shared service the township does with the Board of Education and other things. So it's a cost saving and very efficient. Also, RS 2024084, the shared service with Board of Education of $36,500 is appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to comment, please? Your name and address for our records, please.
Shell Arminio, 9 Nathaniel Street. And I think it's okay just to congratulate Christine Robbins. She's the ultimate professional. So happy she's taken the position, and I look forward to working with her. And in the past, she has always been extraordinary to work with, and Monroe is in good hands.
Thank you, Michelle.
Congratulations. Okay. She deserves it.
Thank you.
So Resolution 3-2024- 084. Also, the shared services for the video, that's long overdue. I'd like to thank Mr. DePiero for sort of helping us with that and members of the public who talked about it. And I would like to know if it's the public access to the video of meetings, and in case anybody wasn't sure what that was. And I would like to ask if that public access, if those videos would be able to be downloaded by members of the public. Do we know that was in the past? And I'd like to see that continue.
Mr. Weinberg, are we aware of that capability?
I'd have to check on that. I know that our YouTube videos, I believe you can capture now, but I'll have to check on that. What's exciting, if I could just for 1 second about this, is not only will this allow us to put it up on Cablevision, Xfinity, and on Verizon, but this will allow us to also connect to streaming services, because some people are cutting the cord and getting rid of that. So it's another way to get through your TV to get to it, in addition to the YouTube. But I don't want to speak out of turn. I would imagine you could download it, certainly easily accessible. I'd have to get back to you on that to be 100% certain.
Please, or let the clerk know, because I think that's, and just to point out, one of the resistance that I had heard in the past about putting this back was that most of the people are doing streaming services and all that. But we have almost 40% seniors, and there was a study that people over 65, of which I am, that we still do. We like cable, and some of us still have cable. So I do appreciate it, and I thank the council. I thank the Board of Education for going forward. Mr. DePiero also. And I will come up again, but I would like to thank the mayor and the council and Mr. Weinberg for the conservation easement for this particular property on Schoolhouse Road. It's a magnificent parcel. It's adjacent to the park. It has environmental qualities. It has wildlife habitat and brooks that flow into the Manalapan Brook. I believe it's farmland preservation, though, under the farmland preservation, and not necessarily, it's the open space, but farmland preservation. Is that accurate?
That's correct. It will be preserved as farmland. It will be unable to be developed.
Right. There's a caveat on that, right? How long is that on the township owns the development rights, as I understand it. Is that correct?
Yeah. My understanding for that is it's in perpetuity.
It is in perpetuity.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I'd like to thank the taxpayers, because this is like a social contract. Monroe has gone through so much over the years, and a lot of people are upset by it. So, taxpayers are obviously contributing this, but the mayor, in his wisdom, has been very cooperative with environmental folks who care about this stuff. And I know he grew up in Monroe, so it's important to him, as he knows is important to many of us who have been here long term. And as Dr. Prakash said, a lot of the trees have been taken down. We have enormous growth. It's time to preserve open space just for that, for the quality of open space and sustainability, because we are losing it rapidly, and it's going to be problematic for us. And Monroe shouldn't go down that path where we have no trees left. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to address us? Please, sir. Your name and address for our records.
Yeah, my name is Sal Guido, 49 Bentley Road, Monroe Township. I don't know if it's on the docket, but this gardens thing, I know they have all the literature up there on the expansion of the gardens where the farm markets are on Applegarth Road.
Yeah.
It was on the last agenda, but we are mentioning it again with our grant for ADA bathrooms, so it's back on again.
Your comments are acceptable.
So I've spoken with you.
Yes, you have.
A number of times, and you as well. So, you're providing bathrooms, sewers. There's already water there. So I'm representing the Monroe Town Applegarth Associates for water and sewer on Applegarth Road, on Bentley Road. And we've been turned down. We do have an agreement with the township that once the builder builds between Perineville and Bentley, we would get water and sewer, but we'd like to expedite that. And we're taxpayers. Everybody's paying taxes. You're providing all the services for the farms and the gardens, which serves everybody well, food, right? And all we're asking for is water and sewer before this developer develops. Because we're not sure you even have an agreement with him to do anything.
Mr. Weinberg?
Yeah, and Mark, you can
And
jump in
Mr.
if you want as
Reservoir,
well.
do you wanna have
Or
him?
Or Joe.
Or
Joe, do you
Mr.
want to take it, or
Stein?
do you want me to?
Or all three of you?
I mean, I can jump in first, and Joe will correct me if I'm wrong, and appreciate your being here, sort of tangentially connected here.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, it's okay.
You're fine, sir.
You're
fine. Let him
You know,
answer.
so as you know, and as was mentioned earlier, we have. I don't want to get too far down the road on it, but Mount Laurel settlements that are every town has to deal with as part of providing affordable housing. Without getting into a long conversation, there are different rounds associated with it. There was a round in 2015, which was known as the third round of affordable housing, and that is what you see over at the intersection of Mounts Mills and Spotswood Englishtown Road. That's what you see over down by Applegarth off to the right, or towards the west. And ultimately, there will be some housing as part of that, to the east of Bentley Road on Route 33 North. What's interesting about affordable housing is, the job of the township, according to the court order, is to create the reasonable opportunity for affordable housing. But ultimately, it is driven by the market. And the folks, as you know, we were trying to keep the number as reasonable as possible, and different developers can intervene and say, hey, I can help you build that. And then they build for market for everyone affordable. I don't want to make this the whole context, but ultimately, we don't know exactly when they're going to build on the north side of Route 33, because that's driven by the marketplace. And I believe when they came in for their approvals, the planning board required them, since they would have to get their water and sewer coming towards Bentley and up towards Applegarth, to put those lines in. The challenge is, we don't know when they're going to build.
Do you have a signed agreement with this builder that he has to do something?
Right. So,
and is there a timeline?
Yeah. So I don't know that there's a timeline, because it's part of his approvals.
Doesn't everything expire at some point? All his permits?
No.
Sure, hang on, let me just try and answer as best I can. We put in place the zoning that allows for that. Mark, maybe you could talk about the timeline, or Joe, because it's very difficult to know exactly when they may begin. Sorry, go ahead.
Mark's going first. Okay.
Council
Yes,
President,
please.
well, that developer did break ground off of Prineville Road, so they've
Right,
started
that's
some
what
of the
that's what I've
construction
been
over
told.
there.
Someone told me that, yep.
Yes, so they
And
did
I know
start
there
construction.
people have been,
Let Mr. Reservoir
okay,
answer you,
sorry.
please. Then you get to talk, man. Remember, you only, please, sir.
So they did start construction over there. There's no housing going up at this point or any of the commercial development, but they are doing site work and getting some of that in order. As part of the approval, they are required to bring water and sewer to that development, and it does come through Bentley Road. So, but as far as the timing, that's going to be tied to when they start to develop and get building permits for the actual construction of the units. But at this point, I don't have a timeline from the developer.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit, right? So again, we're taxpayers. I've been there since 1983. We've always asked for water and sewer, and we've always been turned down, and I don't know why. We all have water conditioners on our wells. We have pre-filters on our wells.
I'm going to, your time at the microphone has ended. But I wanted to say to you, excuse me, folks, I'm really trying to answer, and so is everyone sitting here. What I heard Mr. Razumowitz say that is the builder is required by the approvals he got to do the water and sewer for Bentley Road. But we don't have control, is what I also heard, of when he's building, but he did break ground
They did break ground on the site work, that's correct.
on the site work. So that there is some sort of start to what we've spoken about on the phone when I've spoken to you, et cetera, that Bentley Road at some point, and we don't have the year, none of us have the year, it's nothing we're holding back, to that to happen. Am I correct? As to that's where we are, right? Correct, that's where we are.
Can I get 30 more seconds?
I'm giving you 30 more seconds.
Why can't the township put in the water and sewer, and when he decides to build, you get paid from him? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
I don't know that that's a reasonable thing for us to be able to. I really know you're a taxpayer, sir.
Okay.
I don't doubt that, and I don't doubt the urgency you feel for this. Please don't misunderstand me. Mr. Weinberg, that is not, to my understanding, or perhaps our attorney wants to comment on that, for us to do that.
Well, I mean, I'll try and answer.
Mr. Asimov, I'll
try-
take my turn here.
We're trying to answer.
It's certainly it's a large project that, and again, the developer is on the hook for it. At one time, I know they were looking to extend some water and sewer lines on Bentley Road about 20 years ago under the approvals that were at the corner.
Right.
And there was some public from Bentley Road came out to some of those meetings at the planning board or the zoning board, I believe it was, and those utilities were not extended down that road. So, had that been done, we probably would have been a little bit ahead of the curve. As of right now, again, it's not just a matter of a little bit of an extension of the water and sewer lines, and I know Joe could probably speak more about it. It's quite involved in looping the lines, running them out onto 33. So it's not just an extension of the line that's on Applegarth Road.
My comment to you would be, first of all, that we will continue to monitor the situation. There isn't a person sitting here who is unaware of the concerns of the people on Bentley Road. And this answer has to stand now. We are aware the builder has finally broken ground. The approval requires that they build the sewers. So perhaps we will have some better news sooner than later. I can't do more than that now. And I thank you for coming, and I thank you for your comments.
Okay, thanks.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
everybody.
Anyone else wishing to address the council now, please. Your name and address for our records.
Amy Benner, 33 Bentley Road.
Thank you.
I wasn't aware of this building at the garden center where you grow plants and stuff, that there's going to be a playground, which is pavement, I'm assuming, and restrooms. So that's more pavement, which doesn't help filtering. And again, as he was saying in our complaints on Bentley, we're basically being flooded away. A lot of our septic systems are backing up. I can't imagine what the well water is at this point. We shower with that, we brush our teeth with that. So again, we do have a concern with that, hoping that the township can help expedite something to move this along a little faster, because this is really a concern. Just going to flush your toilet when the wind is in a certain direction smells absolutely lovely. So it's just not fair that we have repeatedly asked for help, and we are now desperate, most of us on our street, with all these issues. So we were hoping that, something can be expedited on the township's level, that they can maybe, get the developer to do something sooner.
We appreciate your comments. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council, please come forward now. Related to the agenda item of night, I'm going to then entertain. Yes, please. Sure. And your name and address for our records.
Good evening. Lucio Panos, 1208 Sealandera Plaza. She's gone, but she was a great, when I first became county chair way back then, and I reached out to different people, she was always professional, and as was your whole office, by the way. So now my questions. 086 and 086A to do with the audit. First of all, it indicates when I tried to, it's 164 pages. When I tried to, I hope you guys read at least what you're required to by law. But what was I going to say? At the very first page says it's the audit of 2021 and 2022. Well, which is it? And then you turn on the second paragraph where the whereas is, it says 2021. So are there some typos here? Or, and especially if there was an order from if it's an order from 2021 and 2022, how'd you pass your budget that year without an audit?
Right, so it's the...
Mr. Weinberg.
Okay, wait, that's my
sorry.
one question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know how it works here, so I just want to get them all out. Thank you. Then, again, the thorn in my side, we're required, or no, we're threatened, we're harassed basically to get electric cars. This is how it is. It's going to be mandated, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to know, how many cars did this township buy in 2023, and how many were hybrid or electric? Okay, do I have to Oprah that? I hope not. But don't say do as I say and not as I do. Okay, that's something I try to live by. The 89, 089, somebody is getting a contract to, services for detention basins. I hope they discuss, or at least the Environmental Commission has the opportunity to discuss possibly plants that are preferable to detention bases, so they're just not cleaned up or scraped out, but there's actual plants that could help detention basins. And then 093, what were the various locations that were for the building demolitions? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Weinberg?
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
So it was the 2022 audit, and then of course when we did the 2023 budget, that's built on what's called the 2023 AFS, which is always done before that, the annual financial statement, and then that rolls into the audit. So we'll be actually doing the 23 audit next, and we'll be doing the 24 AFS next. That's the
My
process.
question was,
if I could.
why is it 2022, and was that budget passed without an audit?
You would never do an audit before you pass the budget. That would be impossible. The audit is a end of year calculation of everything that's
so
happened.
you're ending the year of 2023 and it says 20 for 2022. I must be missing something.
If George wants to add something.
It says 2022 is the audit. We're now into 2024, and I'm curious, how did the 2022 budget pass?
Because we did the audit following the budget adoption, is my understanding.
Correct. The audit follows the budget adoption.
Follows the budget.
That's always how it
It's
works.
2022 audit in front of us.
This is the 2022 audit. The next will be the 2023 audit.
I know how 2022, 2023. Are we doing a 2022 audit now?
We just completed the 2022 audit,
So
which
how did you
matches
pass
the
your budget?
AFS.
I understand
Okay,
your
I'll try and
question, but
explain it
Mr.
again.
Weinberg is
So-
answering it.
You do a budget each year based on your annual financial statement, which allows you to look at your previous year, figure out how much surplus you have, reconcile everything, and then you pass your budget for 2022. At the end of 2022, after you certify everything, and in 2023, you do your audit for 2022. Usually have, in this case, I think it was till the end of the year to do it, and then you produce it, and it verifies your annual financial statement. That's how it's done in every town, throughout the entire area. It just and the AFS and the audit match almost the same. If there isn't, there would be a material issue with it.
So why does it say 2021 also?
Because it always lists 2 years. Because and George can talk about this. Can you just? Yep. So I think what George is saying, he's our CFO, is go ahead, George.
In part of the audit, there's comparative statements, so they do refer to 22 and 21, like the balance sheet and the results of operations. So there's comparative. So that's the reason why they have 21 in there.
Okay, so should there be is there a typo in the second paragraph, the whereas, because it only refers to 2021? But just check that out, please.
Check that.
Yeah, other questions?
Sure. Time is...
Yeah, do you mind if I just finish the
Just
question?
finish
really quick,
question,
if
the
I could?
question she asked.
So
please.
in terms of the electric vehicles, as I mentioned in previous meetings, we did look to try and get some hybrids, and we even got a grant for electric vehicles, but they've been almost impossible to get and purchase through the government procurement. The one vehicle we have on here is for the police, which is a Dodge Durango, which they've always requested gas vehicles, but we were trying to get hybrids and electric for some of our other departments. The basins are managed by DPW and this contractor, and we have worked with the Environmental Commission to do, in certain cases, natural basins to promote more insects and other things like butterflies. But we also have to be careful where we do that too, because it may not be perfectly sightly depending on who lives next door to it. And then finally, on item 93, the two locations for that was a house on the corner of Possum Hollow and Docks Corner that was flooded out as part of Henri, Tropical Storm Henri, and the other one was a house at the corner of Buckaloo and Mounts Mills, which was part of a historic farm that we purchased over there next to the Red Barns. Thank you.
You knocked down a historic farm? An historic farm was knocked down?
We did not do that.
did not
but
do
I think
that.
the time is up. Council President.
Oh, now
The time is up.
Well, I tried to answer all
Oh,
your
now,
questions.
come on, that was real slick. My time is up. Answer my questions correctly.
I
She
did.
Excuse me, I'm intervening at this point. Thank you. Anyone else having any questions for the council, please come forward. If not, seeing and hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I have a motion to adjourn the agenda session, please?
Motion.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman DePiero,
Yes.
Councilman Markel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel,
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora,
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes, the agenda meeting is closed.
Time is 7:30.
Sometimes being a lefty in a right-handed world is not always as easy. I'm going to, this is, the regular meeting of the Monroe Township Council is now called to order. Motion, please. Motion, please, to call the regular meeting to order.
Motion.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman DePiero,
Yes.
Councilman Markel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel,
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora,
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve the claims statement, claims per the run date of February 28th, 2024?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman DePiero,
Abstain.
Councilman Markel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel,
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora,
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes. Motion to approve the minutes of the following meeting as written and presented, the January 3rd, 2024 agenda and regular combined meeting. Motion, please.
Motion.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Yeah. Roll call.
Councilman DePiero,
Yes.
Councilman Markel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel,
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora,
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Abstain. I was pretty sick. Ordinances for the second reading. Would the clerk please read Ordinance 02-2024-003?
Ordinance 02-2024-003, an ordinance of the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, to authorize a conservation restriction agreement for real property known and designated as Tax Block 60, Lots 28.4 and 28.4 Q Farm, also known as 330 Schoolhouse Road, on the official tax map of the Township of Monroe for open space.
May I have a motion to open the public hearing, please?
So moved.
May I have a second on that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Public hearing is open. Anyone wishing to address the council, please come forward. State your name and address for our record. Remembering, please, it is 5 minutes.
Not going to take that long. Michelle
Okay.
Arminio, 9 Nathaniel Street. I don't like to give incorrect information, so just for the record, Mayor Delina, I don't think you grew up here in Monroe. However, your children have. So again, thank you for the ordinance to protecting the environment for your children and everybody else's. Thank you. So I would encourage everyone to vote yes for this ordinance.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council, please come forward now. Seeing and hearing none, I'd like a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second on that, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. May I have a motion to adopt Ordinance 02-2024-003? Motion, please.
Motion to adopt.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call vote?
Councilman DePiero,
Yes.
Councilman Markel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel,
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora,
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes. With the clerk, motion, that ordinance is now adopted. The clerk, please read 02-2024-004.
Ordinance 02-2024-004, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, appropriating $2,900,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,396,640 bonds or notes of the Township to finance part of the cost thereof.
May I have a motion to open a public hearing on the ordinance, please?
Motion.
May I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Anyone wishing to address the council about this ordinance, please come forward now. Dr. Perot, go ahead, please. Yes.
Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. Just one clarification, primary for township-wide paving. So this includes also the housing communities. Like my community is about 22, 23 years old, and there are a lot of cracks on the roads and all. Does this include also the house communities?
Anyone wish to answer?
President.
Mark, that's your turn.
So we're reviewing, Council President, we're reviewing a list of roadways right now that would be included in this. One of your roads, I'm not sure if it's on the list, but I believe it is. But again, we're reviewing a list, and from that list, we'll be picking the roads that are in most need of it.
Okay.
That list is compiled by not only my office, but the Department of Public Works as well as the Police Department.
So my understanding, this is for the roads, mostly we are giving priority. That's my understanding, President. Yes, thank you very
Our
much.
engineer said, you're most welcome. Anyone else wishing to address the council at this time? Seeing and hearing none, a motion to close the public hearing, please.
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 02-2024-004, please?
Motion.
Thank you. Second on that motion.
Second.
May I have thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes. Ordinance passes. Would the clerk please read the next ordinance?
Ordinance 02-2024-005, bond ordinance providing for improvements to Applegarth School in and by the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, pursuant to a shared services agreement with the Township Board of Education, appropriating $5 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,761,900 bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Thank you. I'd like a motion to open the public hearing on this ordinance, please.
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone wishing to address the council on this ordinance, please come forward. Again, please state your name and address for the record.
Lucio Panos, 1208 Sealandera Plaza, Monroe. It's almost not nice to say something when it's shared services is the buzzword. However, the school budgets were not passed by the people of this town, and this is something that circumvents what the people voted on or chose not to do. So, and it's not the first time it happened. It happened last year too. You guys did this. So how about you get a liaison to the Board of Ed? Maybe if you're going to bond for them and spend for them or whatever, maybe one of you should consider being a liaison, or maybe the Board of Ed. This is circumventing what the people want or voted for. They turned down the school budget, and now they're getting $5 million, which is needed. I'm not saying it's not needed, but this shouldn't be. Please consider having a liaison to the school board.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to address us on this issue, please come forward now. Stating your name and address for the record.
Brian Fabiano, 19 Patricia Place. I just wanted to make a comment here, and I do agree in some sense with the previous speaker. This is a great gesture and something that was definitely needed to bridge the gaps at the Board of Education. We know the referendum failed last year, and that was the will of the people. But the problem is we have a reckless school board who doesn't know how to balance a budget. So not only did they put themselves in a position where Applegarth School really, in all honesty, needs to be torn down. So we're putting a $5 million from the town, which is still, we talk at the Board of Education meetings, and here really it's all the taxpayers' money, no matter if it comes from here or it comes from across the street, right? It comes from our tax bill. The problem is that we can't continue to lavish the school district with money if they don't know how to balance their own budgets, right? So this is a great gesture. It's something that's needed, and I appreciate the council and the mayor getting it done, because kids sit in classrooms on rainy days and there's water coming through the ceilings. But people come here and talk about the issues and wanting to spend the money, not wanting to spend the money, really need to go across the street. And there's a budget hearing tomorrow night for the Board of Education where the intent is to raise taxes on April 16th in the special election that they're having, right? There are 3 board seats open, but there is also the intent to go above the state mandated 2% cap so that we're all going to see another tax increase as a result of that. So, it really comes down to we need to vote out people who can't make fiscally responsible decisions for our school district, who don't hear the residents, who continue to put out things, referendums and budget votes that the town, us as taxpayers say are not appropriate. And they continue to dig the hole deeper. So while I think this is great, it's much needed, I don't think that we can continue down this path for a long time of just lavishing the school district every time they put themselves in these financial holes, because even with this, the hole will get deeper. It is getting deeper. And on April 16th, when us as taxpayers are asked to vote for a budget above the 2% cap, we're going to be again financing this mismanagement. So it's got to end, and I don't see this is a great thing, but I don't see it as something sustainable, for the future of this town. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to address the board on this ordinance, please come forward now. Again, your name and address for our record, sir.
Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. Mayor has taken a good step in getting $5 million for our school, which is needed. The roofs are falling apart. The 80-year-old school, no politics here. I supported the referendum. We need to renovate that school, expand that school, and make it eligible for our children. Now, talking about 2% cap, what is the inflation in the country? It was high as 8%, which this number 2% cap came from. The salaries have to be increased. The insurance has to be increased. Materials have to be increased. Where this 2% cap came on the school budgets, I question that. There is no brain when the inflation is going more than 3 to 4%, how you can put a cap of 2%. Want to debate in these 5 minutes? I can debate anywhere. Stop this politics. Our students need good education, good buildings and everything, and we have to provide them, and we can afford. Our taxpayers, we can afford, everyone can afford, okay? We can discuss about it.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address us, please come forward.
Madam President, can I make a statement?
Sure.
Okay.
We're having an interesting meeting tonight. You want to hold it for council comments? We have someone coming to the microphone now.
Well, I just wanted to, maybe Mr.
We're in the public portion,
Okay.
so we will get our turn to speak again.
Fair enough. I'll wait.
Sir.
Costas Macros, 552 BR Costas Macros, 552
Thank you.
BR Monroe, Monroe. I agree 1,000,000% with that gentleman over there, what he said. Is our vote worth anything? When we vote on the school budget, Who gave them authorization or you to spend $5 million? I understand the school needs fixing. Who gave them, after the school budget was voted down, to spend $5 million? And I'm asking you again, is our vote not count? This budget was voted down. And not by a little bit, it was voted down, period. So again, I ask you, does our vote count anything, or should we just stop voting and just let you do what you want? Spend millions of dollars, cars, electric cars, and this and that. Does our vote count? Tell me. Who gave them the authorization to spend $5 million? Who?
We didn't. We entered into a shared service agreement to support a grant that the Board of Education had received and required a hard match. We provided the match for the grant they had already received. And the council, the mayor and the council made that decision.
So the budget that we voted down just means nothing that we voted it down, correct? Means nothing.
I can't answer any differently.
And as far as
than
the
I
gentleman saying 2% cap on inflation, well, the inflation is not 2 and it's not 5. Inflation is over the last 3 years or 4 years is 40%. So should we raise the taxes 40%? Maybe he can afford to spend 40% more for taxes. But a lot of people here lived on fixed incomes. And it'd be hard on us, we'd have to move. Well, that's all I got to say.
I thank you for your comments, sir. Anyone else wishing to address us, please come forward now. Seeing and hearing none, I call, oh, I'm sorry.
Michelle Arminio, 9 Nathaniel Street. While I respect everyone's perspective as to why this ordinance is necessary or not necessary, one of the things that people need to keep in mind that it's not necessarily only the Board of Education. The Board of Education has an obligation, and sometimes they do it right and sometimes they do it wrong, to educate our children. And we have had such massive build out that we have nearly 7,000 children in our school district. And if we think that education is, and I'm quoting somebody else, but if we think that education is expensive, think about ignorance. If we don't educate our children and we keep them ignorant, we are not moving our community forward. And I want to be sensitive. I'm a senior as well. I don't have children in the school system. However, I believe, and I talked about it before, a social contract with my community. We need to have good schools. I thank the council and mayor for the shared services. However, the real issue is the overbuilding in this community. These people here talked about the builders not being responsible for bringing these resources in. If we really want to help our taxes and to help our students as well, we need to get our legislators to get impact fees back into this community. And when you hear people, counsel and lawyers, and say, well, impact fees are illegal. Well, they're only illegal because the people and our legislators choose not to make it legal. So that's what we need. There's thousands of units being built in our town, a lot of which are children and a lot of which require services. So our children's education is important. I thank the mayor again for being open-minded about we need to get some of these things done. We can't overlook it. It would be far more costly. I was around for 3 referendums that have failed. At some point, it's going to cost so much more, and we have to bring the educational system up. So yes, is there poor budgetary issues? Absolutely. But not all of it is for that. We have to understand that the builders are absolutely coming into town, and such high density is really hurting, and it's hurting the school system. The township council, the planning board, and the zoning board, all of which you are responsible for, you are the ones who make the decisions about how many applications and how many building units are here. The Board of Education has no control over how many kids come into the school system, but they do have an obligation to educate them. Please, the education of our children is far more important, And again, it's a social contract that we have to work out. Thank you. I approve of this.
I lost my mic. Again, I need a mic close, I swear I do. I would entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Motion.
This public hearing now.
Motion.
May I have a motion to close the
Motion.
public hearing? Thank you. May I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is closed. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2024-005? Motion to adopt, please. Anyone?
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second on a motion?
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman DePiero,
Yes.
Councilman Markel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel,
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Madam President, I'd like to be heard before I cast my vote.
Yes, sir.
I want the public to understand what happened here. What happened is, yes, the referendum passed for the extensive amount of money that was being asked for. We all have our opinion on that both ways, whether it was a good referendum or bad. But despite that,
It failed.
It failed, Terry.
what did I say, passed?
You said passed.
I meant failed. It failed.
We knew
It
you did. You failed, Terry. Yeah,
Did not go through.
good. Like that word.
Because of that, we're continuing to use Applegarth School. It's a necessity. And the things that need repair have to be repaired. Now, without the council originally knowing about this, the Board of Ed went and got a grant from the state of New Jersey. So the state is giving them $5 million, but the caveat is when that occurs, the town or the Board of Ed would have had to post $5 million. Under the way it works, the Board of Ed cannot do that. So they came to the town and they said, look, we're getting $5 million for free from the state, but we need you guys to come forward and post the $5 million. Otherwise, we don't get that $5 million from them. So we're now in a situation where the mayor and the council have to decide, what do we do? Do we forego getting $5 million out of the $10 million that's needed simply because we don't want it on the council budget? At which point it would ultimately go back to the Board of Ed budget and township taxpayers would have to pay for it. So do we want taxpayers to pay $10,000 or $5,000? The preference is for it to be $5,000. That's why we approved the $5,000.
Millions, Terry.
Millions. I'm getting my numbers all mixed up,
That's
but
why I
you
have her read
understand
them.
what I'm saying. I'm glad you're paying attention.
We are. We tend to listen.
But the $5 million, that's a big difference. So you don't want town taxpayers to pay an extra $5 million. And that's why I think that this is an appropriate thing to approve. Because it ultimately, no matter what it is, whether you're paying it through the township council, through our township budget, or the through the Board of Ed, $5 million is saved. The $10 million is needed, and for that reason, that's why I'm approving it. So thank you. Sorry for the mix-up on the numbers. Yeah, now you can continue.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. It is adopted. Thank you. Would the clerk please read ordinance 02-2024-006?
Ordinance appropriating $4,300,000, $2,300,000 of which is from a State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs grant, and $2 million of which is from the Middlesex County Open Space, Recreation, and Farmland and Historic Preservation Trust Fund grant for the acquisition of property for use as open space in and by the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey.
May I have a motion to open a public hearing?
Motion.
Aye. Thank you. May I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone wishing to address the council on this ordinance only, please come forward now. Seeing and hearing none, I'm entertaining a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt Ordinance 02-2024-006, please?
Motion.
Thank you. Second on that.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The motion, the ordinance is adopted. We move to resolutions for consideration under the consent agenda. Would the clerk please read?
R3 2024-076 through R3 2024-101, with the exception of R3 2024-088, which will be voted on separately, not under the consent agenda.
Thank you. Motion, please.
Motion.
Thank you. Second on that motion.
Second.
Aye. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 7 is the resolutions removed from the consent agenda in the name and number of.
Resolution R3 2024-088.
Thank you. Motion. Motion.
Motion.
Someone. Thank you so much. Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Abstain.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So much. We will move to reports.
Sure. Thank you very much, Council President. I'll be somewhat brief. I do want to confirm that the YouTube site, which tape records this meeting and the zoning board meeting and the planning board meeting, are all downloadable. I will check on the new server to make sure that is as well, but you can download it now and then we'll make sure the other one is if it can be. Just commenting a little bit on the landfill. As many of you know, and I mentioned this at the last meeting, we built the force main to prevent the leachate from moving inside the sanitary sewer system and ultimately into people's homes. We have been getting complaints about outdoor air from several residents, which I mentioned last month is much more complicated to identify, and we've certainly alerted the DEP to this. I did want to note on the record here at the council meeting that the DEP will be doing their sixth 5-year review, so they're end of their 30th year, to ensure the landfill is protective of public health. According to the DEP website, that'll be published between November and January of this year, so I just wanted to put that out there. Also wanted to thank our Parks Department. This is probably their busiest month for them, as they get literally every field ready to go, whether it's baseball, lacrosse, softball, football, and cricket, and a whole variety of other fields. We have some really excellent grass fields, and they work incredibly hard on them in March to make sure everyone's ready for opening day. So I just wanted to thank them. And as Mark mentioned earlier, this month we'll be identifying the roads most in need of improvements. And we'll be moving forward on that in coordination with DPW, Public Works, Engineering, the Utility Department, and the Police Department. That's my report, Council President.
Thank you so much, Mr. Razumowitz.
Thank you, Council President. Just one item of new business. We are out to bid for the reconstruction of South Middlesex Avenue, and I anticipate an award at the next council meeting. That project has an NJDOT local freight grant of about $600,000. And that's my report.
Thank you so much. Going to move to council reports. I'm going to begin at my extreme left. Councilwoman Siegel, please.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. Just a couple updates I want to share. First, Councilman Vice President Van Zora and Councilman Markel and I went to a vigil and flag raising ceremony marking the 2-year anniversary for the Ukrainian war in Thompson Park. It was a beautiful ceremony, and they had 2 students that sang the national anthems from Ukraine and the U.S., and the event was hosted by our 2 Monroe residents, Anna and Edward Malvit, who lead the Leonid Foundation, where they provide a lot of different ways of support to our Ukrainian refugees in our community and local communities around them. So that was a beautiful ceremony. And I just want to share some conversations I've had recently with some of our community members around town as I wander around. And it's always nice to hear about the positives and how they feel about some of our services and amenities that we have in our township. And I happened to be at the library checking out a book, and a mom recognized me, and she had mentioned to me how she really loved our library. I know we talk about it so much as council here that it is one of our crown jewels, but she went on to say just how nice it was to be able to walk in there, and there was something for the entire family to do. It became a family outing for them, where there was a lecture the parents were able to attend, there was some children programming, and their older daughter could do the research for a project. So she was so happy that to have a service like this and a place to go for the entire family, especially when you're looking for those little things to do on a weekend. And, we got talking a little bit more, and she said, I just learned in the library too that we have museum passes that we can utilize for free. So I just wanted to share that, make sure, community members know that we do have a great library and all the different programming and services it offers. We have our rec center. I hear a lot of great things about DPW and how someone mentioned about the styrofoam cycler and how nice it is that we can use that foam cycler. So just wanted to highlight some of those items. And I did want to share a couple updates from some of the commissions that I liaison to. Our Cultural Arts Commission this year has been providing through the Barnes Foundation virtual tour series that began earlier this year, and they're on their last virtual tour of the year that's going to be happening on March 13th, and it's honoring women artists for Women's History Month this month. Two artists, Mary Cassette and Maureen Lawrenson, women painting women. So I know I've watched a couple of these over the past year and earlier this year, and they are really well done. So if you're interested to learn a little bit about the art, it's a great virtual tour that you can just watch right from home. And you can find more information about these on the Cultural Arts Commission website. And I want to give a little update on our Youth Advisory Commission, Youth Advisory Council, There are our high school students. We have about 25 of them. And I know I haven't provided an update lately because every time they seem to have a meeting scheduled, it snows. So they actually met this past month, and one of the things that we've been doing with our students is each month they get to learn from a different department in our municipality, learn about government, how it works. So this year they've met with the clerk's office, Township Planning and Administration, and EMS, and we are very fortunate. We have Kyle Johansson, who's our video and media coordinator, who is our advisor this year to the council, and he is, yes, Kyle. And he's working very hard to guiding our students on their community project, which will be some type of community event. We're working through this a little bit, but the topics that the students have been working on is learning more around opioids education and also around youth mental health, which is something that our group last year had worked on. So we are also partnering with Middlesex County Health Services, who will be coming to our next meeting and sharing more information with our students around opioids and mental health. And that's it. I just wanted to give a little update. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I'm going back over to my right. Councilman Markell.
Well, yeah, I just have a few things I'd like to mention. Hello, is it on? Yep.
It's now.
This morning I was in school, and I read to some children for Read Across America. It's a great experience meeting some kids. The kids were absolutely great. They were a little older than I thought. They were fifth graders, so I thought they could probably read better than me. But they were very receptive, and I enjoyed the experience. One of the things I did over the month of February, because of Black History Month, is I went to the library for a middle school civics contest where students did reports on Black Americans that have made a difference. Some of them are living and some of them have passed. So I saw six kids do 2 people each. It was a great experience. I learned a lot about some African Americans that did some great things. Just want to tell you, as far as I'm on the aging committee, which I thought was inappropriate being I'm so young. But I just want to let people know that in the month of December, there was 1,173 new members signed up for the senior center. So, I mean, if you just stop and think about what the senior center has been doing over the years, that's a lot of new members. I'm sorry, that was for the year. I'm sorry, for the year 2023. For the month of December, they had 6,338 people registered for programs. So you can imagine what these women and men that work there have to do every month to make sure everybody's happy. We should give them a shout out every month. Also, March 8th is International Women's Day, which was a shock to me, being I have two daughters and a wife, so I thought every day was International Women's Day in my life, for sure. I also just want to mention one other thing. I know it's a little a little bit early, but on April 28th at the Senior Center, I mentioned it last month. I'm going to mention it every month because I think it's important. It's Holocaust Remembrance Day at 2 o'clock, so everybody's invited to that. There's going to be Holocaust survivors there, which are very unbelievable people. I've met with some of them. They have some great stories, and we're losing our Holocaust members at this late date. So put that down on your calendars, please, right away, so that you have no excuses for April 28th at the Senior Center at 2 o'clock. It'll be a great program. That's about it. Just want to touch base with a few things. Thank you.
Councilman DePiero.
Thank you. I just wanted to start off by asking maybe our legal department if they could look into our residents on Bentley Road to see if there is something that maybe can be worked out with that developer along with the Board of Health. Because if there are health issues, they've been living on that road for a long time with issues, sending us emails. And as one of the residents said, they did call us, and we spoke to some of the residents. But think about the kind of held hostage in the way that they're waiting for utilities where their homes are already there. So maybe if there's something that, I know that this council and this mayor is going to do what we can to try and get that done, as some of our residents came up with the building and overbuilding. But one of the things we have to do is we have to look out for the residents that are here. So if there's something we could do, I would just ask to get back to them and let us know what can be done.
Councilman, it's a shame they actually left. Actually, I was going to wait till afterwards and get all their details, and then we were going to pull the agreements with the engineers. So yes, we are definitely going to look into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Because one of the things sitting in many meetings, many years, past mayors would have what he would call a task force. And when you had an issue like this, like we had the BFI, we all came together. Our mayor rose to the occasion, and everything that I've been up here with Mayor Tamboro and also Mayor Delina. So when there's a need for residents, our mayors is definitely in the past or definitely doing the right thing for all our residents, and I would support that. As this part of this team up here, that we need to do this each and every time, and whatever we can do. As some of our residents were happy with the $5 million budget, and some were unhappy. But as our Vice Council President explained it, we were going to let $5 million get away, and that wasn't going to help our children. That was going to help the building. So I thank you, legal counsel, for that. I just want to run police awareness. I attended a scam presentation at the rec center. There was also one at the senior. That's available. Detective Robert Bennett did a great presentation. Our mayor did an introduction to it, and the residents that were there. That's something that it's on the website for in our police department website, and something our residents should definitely look into if you missed the presentations. And I just wanted to thank our police department and Detective Bennett for doing a great job. Also, this past Saturday they had rabies clinic. I want to thank the clerk's office. And I want to thank the DPW, the Board of Health, everybody that was part of that, the rec center. And I just want to say that's another service that we did for our community and make sure that we get rabies and license and everything like that. So thank you. I had a question on county bridge inspections and county repairs. Council President, if you could get maybe Mark could look into when the county's going to inspect our bridges in our town, and if there's any repairs that are going to be up and coming for 2024. Also, the county paving. They usually give you a list on when, what streets they're going to pave. So if that's something that I would ask for. Yesterday, I received a nixle about a missing person. And I just wanted to point this out. Next month, April, is Autism Awareness Month. And I think it's very, very good to reach out. Maybe our police department could make families, if they can be in contact with families, schools, nursing homes, assisted livings. There's programs out there, and there's also different types of personal. They have a personal GPS trackers. There's a program called Like Angel Sense, and if our police department could reach out, maybe to assisted livings, nursing homes, and make them aware. And there are, like I said, trackers that they can put for elderly and for people with special needs, autism, and it's a big thing in our schools and in our community. I just wanted to point it out that next month is April is the Autism Awareness. DPW, I can't thank those guys enough. I send a few pictures along with Alan's help and DPW. They fixed the wall on Tyndale and Fernhead. Something that we didn't have to go out to bid for. It's something that the wall was built years ago, and they weren't able to get the exact color blocks or whatever, but they did the job, and they did the job well. And this was something that was done in-house. So I just want to thank, the administration and also the workers that got it done. We received an email from a resident, and I said this last meeting. When someone sends us an email, I'm not really sure if it ever gets answered, and I don't want to answer each and every one email. It's addressed to the mayor, and it's also addressed to the council. But it was an email that was someone came to the public and made a comment and private concern, and everybody seemed like we were all talking out of turn, and we were all attacking a resident when they come to the microphone. When a resident comes to the microphone, I respect the resident regardless of what the comment is. It's nothing political. It's a concern. They took the time to come here. We have to take the time to listen. And that's how I feel. And I don't know if this ever got answered, this email, and it also said something about us being professional to each other. I try that. I know our mayor does, and I know our council does at all times. We try our best. But sometimes you let political things get in the way. And it's not about politics, it's about Monroe. And that's what I feel, and that's what we need to do move forward, is just say it's not politics. It's about Monroe. We're not going to agree on every single topic and every single vote. However, I'd just like to know if someone could tell me if they answered an email, and that's all I'm asking for. Last time our council said, it's under the Sunshine Law. Well, I understand that, but we receive our packets and we receive emails that are more. So we have to be careful when we say the Sunshine Law, and that's why I never answer it. And I try, when I send an email, I send it to certain people. I don't send it to every single person on the council. But I don't know did this get answered? Do you know, Council President?
I have no notion of what email you. I have some familiarity. I read every email I get.
You want me to read it? I have the email.
Seeing no reason to read someone's personal email that went to the
Well,
council.
she sent it to the mayor and the council. We all received it, but I don't know if it ever got answered.
Can I have him read it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Councilman, how about we get the email and find out amongst who the individuals, if someone had responded to it. I don't think it would be productive to go read the email in case that there's other requests in there that were more of a personal nature.
Okay,
And
so
that's more of a protection of the resident.
I just want to know if when we send emails out, we should just know if somebody's sending out emails. I'm not aware if it's like from BFI or whoever it is. This topic, I don't know if this resident received a response. That's all I'm asking. And Alan, I don't know if he can keep track of that and send it to us, because I don't know if we got a response to this. I ask every time about painting the water tower. Somebody sent me an email, and I sent it to Alan and I sent it to Joe, and then Joe responded and he copied me. That because I sent it to Joe. Also, I'm asking for, if somebody sends an email to the mayor and council, I have no idea if it got answered.
I would like the email, I would like to follow our attorney's advice, not read the email into the record. We can pass it among ourselves, we can verify whether or not it was answered.
Yeah.
I think that would be easier.
In general, if administration gets an email,
The administration answers it.
Will respond to it. Individual council members can also respond if they were addressed in it. The only thing I think was mentioned is if it becomes a dialogue amongst council members on that email
You don't do
about
that.
stuff, that could violate the Open Public Meetings Act if you start discussing what we should or shouldn't do. So administration, I can't think of an example where administration doesn't respond, and council members are always welcome to respond directly themselves as individuals if they like.
Yes, because on occasion I have said to administration, was this email answered?
And on those occasions, Councilman, when you've asked me if the administration has
Yes.
responded, I'm always able to let you know if that's happened.
Right, I usually ask Alan and that, but this one, I don't know if anybody answered.
Okay. Am I on there? I don't know if I'm on there.
Okay, all right. Also, a resident came, Monroe Township Board of Ed, he made an announcement. Tomorrow night's the hearing, budget for 2024. And, it's important that we go, we attend, and ask questions and concerns. That's the time. And also vote. As we all know, in the past, 1 out of 5 people vote, but 5 out of 5 complain. So now's your time. So go, speak up, and vote, and make your vote count. So that's what's important tomorrow night, 6:30 at the high school. And the last thing, Schoolhouse Road has a water leak for about a few months in front of the firehouse. I sent an email before the snow and the ice. DPW is putting salt on it. Do we have a projection on when that's going to get fixed, that water leak?
Right, and we discussed this. So it's not in the road; it's sort of on the curb, so it runs down the curb. Joe, I know you ordered a part. We were waiting on a specific part to be able to fix that water line. Can you give us an estimate on when that part will be available to be able to fix it? But it doesn't generally go in the road; it goes down the right of way, the curb.
Yes, Councilman, we ordered because there's a couple of different things that we noticed when we were investigating that leak, so we had to order a number of different parts to take into account every situation that could potentially occur. I know that 75% of the parts have arrived. When the other 25% are here, we will we'll go ahead and make the repairs.
Is there a meter? Is anybody paying for that wasted water that's going down the road?
At this particular point, I believe that it is actually before the meter.
Before the meter?
Yeah.
So technically, we're paying then?
Yeah, it's unaccounted for water
Unaccounted water.
in the
Okay.
utility budget. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Council President.
Before I, just very quickly, I wanted to make a comment before I ask our Council Vice President for his, to let you know that in April, if you watch your bulletin from the library, there is a program being put on by the library in cooperation with the League of Women Voters that says how your government works. Over the last few months and in conversations, we have heard from many people that they are not sure of this process locally or that process locally. And so it will be a good program. and I know it is in April that it is occurring. And additionally, civics education is now required for our students in school. So I'm hoping that we begin to see students taking physics showing up for council meetings. Again, an opportunity to learn how our government works. I'm going to ask our council vice president, please, for his comments.
Thank you. First comment is I read that the rec department is now taking applications for people that want to be involved with different sports and things. So if you have any of the kids with baseball, softball, soccer, whatever it may be, now's the time. Get the word out if they want to sign up. I know most of the kids are already signed up and they're repeaters, but sometimes there's people out there that might have interest. Now would be a great time. I want to congratulate our boys hockey team, which won the Middlesex County Championship, I believe, for the first time ever. I think that's pretty impressive. We don't even have a hockey rink, and they went out there and they practiced and they still won the championship. So that shows how good they are. Also, an individual accomplishment, one of our girls' basketball players, Hallie Cottrell, scored her 1,000th point this year, which is also pretty big accomplishment for her. I want to talk about maybe about 15 years ago, we had a young fella that lived in town by the name of Danny Bricks. Danny played basketball for the Monroe High School team, and his family lived in town. And after his junior year, he transferred over to St. Joe's. Turns out he was a pretty good player. He also scored 1,000 points. He played with some of the really good players, Quentin DeCozy, Carl Anthony Towns, who happens to still be in the NBA, and St. Joe's went on and had a really, really good couple of years with him. They won a couple of tournaments and things of that nature. After he graduated and moved on, Danny ultimately wound up as an assistant coach over at Colonia High School, where he was an assistant with their basketball team, I think in addition to being a teacher of some sort. So I didn't quite follow the whole thing, but anyhow, unfortunately, Danny passed away at the age of 30. So I was very sad, but his family no longer lives in town. They moved to North Carolina, but I want him to know that he's remembered. So rest in peace, Danny Bricks. We had a couple snowstorms this month. I want to thank our DEP that I thought came out and did a great job getting I'm all messed up tonight. The DPW who came out and did a great job clearing the snow. Another thing I noticed, the applications for the senior tax freeze are scheduled to come out soon, so keep an eye on your mail, and if you don't get it, you think you might be eligible, that's another thing that you should look out for, because that'll save you some tax dollars over the long run. I also had the luxury, as Rupa said, of going to the Leonid Foundation commemoration of the 2-year anniversary of the Ukrainian war. And it was both a happy and a sad event. I mean, we were celebrating the fact that these people were there to help them. But 2 years in, and Ukraine is still trying to fight off Putin. These people, Anna and Edward, they provide aid for these people. They send aid over to people that need it there. They've helped some of the families move out of there that were in harm's way. So in my book, these are real heroes, and they're people that live right here in Monroe. So if you can do anything to help them out, it's Leonid, Leonid Foundation. And talking about heroes, another sad passing this month, nothing to do with Monroe, was Alexei Navalny, who in my book was a true hero, one of the people that stood up to Putin, and he paid for it with his life. So that's all I got to say tonight. Thank you.
At this point, Mr. Mayor, do you honor us with a report, please?
Once again, Madam President, I appreciate the opportunity to provide some commentary, my report to you. Just two items on the agenda I wanted to highlight, and obviously I'm very pleased. I thank the council for supporting the two ordinances, in particular the one for the Barnes property, the Schoolhouse Road property, the procuring the $2.3 million grant from the state, as well as the $2 million from the county to help preserve that tract of land. Obviously, one of the larger issues that we all hear is about preserving open space. We try to be aggressive in that regards, and it's in support of the master plan. So it's a good purchase, and obviously to have a 34-acre property in perpetuity kept open space. That's certainly the goal. Secondly, I'm pleased that our application for the County Housing Community Development Grant for the funds for the park improvements and the community gardens was certainly approved. As you know, we applied for the NJDEP Acres Jake's Law Playground grant application, and the location was identified through our master plan yet again. So I appreciate that we move forward. Some of the events in the past month or so that I'd like to provide some comments. It was mentioned before about the police outreach, the continuing police outreach regarding scams, crime trends, and just how to keep yourself safe. Some of the council members were there. It was very well attended, both at the rec center, the community center in the northern part of the town, as well as our senior center. And it's just so important to reinforce, and we will continue this effort. And it's my understanding the next one that we're going to record. We have recorded some of these presentations in the past, but obviously technology, information gets updated. So the next one we're going to record to make sure we certainly post it. But it's that reinforcement. And I'm going to tell a story. I tell the story, I'm sure people have heard it before. I'm going to keep it short, about just the reinforcement on how to keep yourself safe in regards, in particular, to phone scams. My mom, 2 years ago, I was at her house and we were talking, and she says, "Oh, how's the mayor thing going?" I'm like, "Hey, Mom," I said, "I'm going out with the police to talk about scams for seniors and how to keep yourself safe." And my mom was like, "Oh, I know. I don't answer the phone if I don't know the caller ID." I'm like, "Good, Ma." She goes, "Yeah, they had something like that here." She lives in Woodbridge. They had something in Woodbridge. She goes, "Oh, don't worry. I don't pick up the phone." Well, a month or two later, phone is buzzing, and it's a call that she doesn't recognize, but it was from the state of Maryland. We have family members in Maryland. Moment of weakness, my mom answers the phone. Well, lo and behold, it's her grandson calling. He's got into a horrific car accident. Don't tell his dad. And could you please, give me some money? Just pulling at the heartstrings of a 91-year-old woman. She didn't have the means to give anything over the phone. So the grandson said, "Could you please go to the bank and get cash and don't tell anybody?" So my mom, using a walker, doesn't call any of her sons, live close enough around. She gets a neighbor to take her to the bank. She withdraws $9,000 in cash. She comes back to the house and calls the phone number of the lawyer that she spoke to, and the lawyer was going to call a courier. About an hour later, a courier shows up at the door. My mom hands over $9,000 in cash, and that's the end of it. So I will continue telling this story because the information that our police, this outreach that they are doing, is so very important. It's a team effort, truly. And just when you think in that moment of weakness that, It won't happen to me. Well, maybe it might not, but maybe a relative or a neighbor. So what the police are doing, I commend them on that. It is a great presentation. It is vital that we pay attention, and I have to say that I will continue to tell that story. Speaking of the police, this week we will be going from 10 flock cameras to 20 flock cameras with an increase. Flock cameras are license plate readers that are strategically placed throughout the town as well as on the police cars to identify, it reads the license plates and it will identify potential cars that are coming into Monroe for potential nefarious purposes. And I tell the story about, if a car with stolen plates or a stolen car comes into Monroe Township, they're not coming to see grandma and grandpa. They're coming in for nefarious purposes. So we're trying to stay ahead of the curve, and we have been successful, and there has been arrests directly related to the installation of these flock cameras. So it's something that we will continue to invest into our police and crime prevention, I assure you. Last month, the New Jersey DEP announced another eagle was born in Monroe Township. Now, they report on 2023. So the nest was first discovered in 2017 in Monroe. One eagle egg began to incubate in the upper millstone nest on January 28th, 2023, and the egg hatched on March 10th, 2023. So happy birthday, little eagle. We are hoping to see a repeat in this, potentially again this week. So again, it's just like to tell a bird story once in a while. Councilman Markell talked about Read Across America. I had the honor and the privilege to attend class, fourth grade class in Woodland Elementary School. I read a book on Penny, the fourth little pig. My friends, I always grew up thinking there were 3 little pigs. This book, there is a 4th one who was an engineer who comes and he helps the 3 other little pigs rebuild. So maybe at the next meeting, I apologize. I should have had this information with me. My librarian wife is going to be very upset that I didn't have this info. But if you're interested, I'm going to provide the info next week, and you can go to our local library. It's a great read, and it'll take you about 10 minutes. The governor of New Jersey presented his budget address this past week. Paid attention, obviously, for want to hear certain words. It sets the tone. It's not the actual dollars and the cents. That's going to be worked on over the next couple months. But you want to hear some of the themes. You want to hear some of the tone. And for me, obviously, any type of state funding that can come to the municipality is important. But I was very pleased to hear money about going to the Anchor program, the potential for that. But more importantly, the senior freeze. And again, this is a critical tax relief program for our residents. We'll certainly keep an eye on it yourselves. We will monitor it closely as well. We get very aggressive in ensuring that the information gets out through our website and as well as some of our publications. Any help that is needed by any of the residents to apply for these certainly will be available to you at our libraries and senior center as well as our tax office here as well. Just finishing up. We are in March. Some of the items, some of the events coming up is the Maker Fest at our library on March 16th, 11 to 4. March 23rd will be always our fun egg hunt contest at the soccer complex on Prospect Plains Road, certainly weather permitting, at 10 a.m. And after Sunday's weather, do I dare say spring is in the air?
Maybe.
Oh, I'm feeling confident.
God.
I went for a bike ride. Only my second ride this year because the weather's just been so crummy. Riding my bicycle through Veterans Park on Avenue K. It was packed. It was packed. So my first run through, it was packed. The second run through was even more because there was an ice cream truck there and the line was 10 deep. So I am going to say spring is in the air. Hopefully it stays that way. And again, to finish on a note like that, happy spring. Madam President, thank you again.
Oh,
for
it is always my
allowing me.
pleasure, sir. Always my pleasure. We will now go to our public comment section. 5 minutes per speakers, and I need a motion to open the public comment section, please. Is everyone paying attention?
Motion.
Thank you so much. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Nay. Come to the microphone, give us your name and address. And remember, there is a 5-minute time limit, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Joe Atanasio, 21 Wellington Place in Greenbrier. Last month I came to the council and I had a concern about what they call engine braking, which is the practice of the truck drivers using a device which slows down their engine and causes a major rumble to the people on Prospect Plains Road, Half Acre, and also Perineville Road. And I explained it, and I wanted to know if it was possible to put additional signage around town. The next day, I sent an email to all of the members of council, and I'd like to take the opportunity tonight to thank Councilman DePiero for answering my email and instructing me to also copy Alan Weinberg on it. And I want to thank Alan for his lists of where the signs are, and also entertaining my request on where the signs should be. And because of Charlie's efforts and Alan and Kevin McGowan and the DPW, the signs are now in place on Prospect Plains Road, on Mill Road, and hopefully the truck drivers will see these signs and adhere to the ordinance that was put into effect in 2004. And if they don't, I trust that our magnificent police department will start issuing summonses here, because this is nerve-wracking. When you hear these guys going down the road and they pull that engine brake up, the walls of your house actually shake. Okay, and again, thank you guys, and I hope the truck drivers do adhere to it. And on just one note, Mayor, on the camera thing, about maybe when it was put into place, my wife was caught speeding, and it was a picture was taken of her plate, and she was issued a summons. And she came home and presented me with the summons. And she goes, "This is for you." What do you mean? Unfortunately, what happened was, once the plate was taken, it populated the summons with my name, because the car is in my name.
Smart woman.
So I went to the police department with it, and I met with the officer, and he apologized, and we became kind of friends. And I know that and please bear me out on this, if I had gone to court with that, it probably would have gotten thrown out. But in my heart, I felt these guys are going through enough. Okay? So I said, well, just go into the place and change the ticket to my wife's name, because I was afraid the points were going on my license. She was speeding. I wasn't speeding. So, and we shook hands, and we both issued my wife the summons, which we paid because she was speeding. She knew it. So I just want to note that that might have been a problem at the time. It's probably been resolved, okay? But I'm kind of happy it happened, because maybe it was a glitch in the system that's now been resolved. Thank you, folks.
You're most welcome. Next person, please.
Yeah, just council. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
I do want to just put on the record that the flock cameras do not record speed. However, if a camera is on a car, police car that's following a car that's speeding, they will take the picture to capture the moment. But the camera, don't be afraid if you see the camera. you know, and I'm not giving you permission to speed past that camera, but it doesn't record speed.
Thank you, sir. Your name and address for our record, please.
Hello, Colleen Pace, 39A, John Paul Jones Drive, Concordia. I know this is the 5 minutes is limited to agenda items only.
Not in this portion. That was for the agenda session.
But
You
could I
have
just-
another issue you need to discuss.
Okay.
Please bring it to us.
I'd like to know the plan for Valor Home, which is housing the building project for the veterans.
The Veterans Housing Project,
on
yes.
Cranberry Half Acre Road. The plan, is that a private property building? Is that a privately owned building, number one? Is it for exclusive for veterans? And if not, why not? The sign is advertised, Veterans Valor Home, so the whole community thinks right now only veterans are going into that building. I believe there's 70-plus units. How many are for veterans? And what assurance only veterans will go in there and no other people?
Sure.
Mr. Weinberg.
Can we get an assurance on that?
Give you all your answers.
Be happy to answer. And also, if you know, I'm also happy to speak either after the meeting or
Right.
we've been out speaking in different communities and updating people on this project. So just to give you the quick overview, if I can.
Okay, because there's a lot of rumors going
Sure.
around in the communities, a lot of buzz, and I want to hear it from a horse's mouth. Not that I'm calling you a horse. There's-
Weinberg,
we do
please.
have a lot. We do have a lot of questions.
I'm going to get a lot for that tomorrow.
Okay.
So it's a great question. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a requirement for a certain amount of affordable housing within the township. And as I mentioned, when you see some of these other developments, whether they be over by Mounts Mills and Spotswood Englishtown Road, or you're seeing them down by Applegarth Road, over by Route 33, those are where folks have come in and built 4 market rate units to build the one affordable unit, which is part of that settlement. We have gone out of our way, and this predates me, the previous mayor, Mayor Tamburo. We had some of our own money to try and build affordable housing. Affordable housing is very different than Section 8 housing and other things that people might be familiar with in more of like a city or urban environment. Affordable housing is more like workforce housing. And it really ranges, and I actually have the income limits here from last year because I always keep them with me. So for a two bedroom, I'm going to keep going, so I'll try and be as quick as I can. For a 2-bedroom unit, there's 3 levels: moderate, low, and very low, and there's a certain amount of units for each category. For the moderate, you can make up to $91,000. This is last year, so it'll be adjusted for this year. $57,000 to meet the low category, and $34,000 to the very low category. So many of these people could or may still be working. They could be retired. They could be on that situation. So what the council did at that point is we were going to build actually 37 units, and we got, as part of our court judgment, the ability to build 37 units for veterans only. And we put the money in to be able to do that. We were able to get additional tax credits through the Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency to build an additional 43 units, and those units are veterans' preference. And what I'm going to explain is every unit in there is going to be a veteran unless we get to, and when I say we, there's a third party that operates it that is, a housing provider. They've done a very similar program in another part of the state down by Clayton, and our goal is to make sure everybody in there is a veteran, and certainly the 37. If no one applies, then they would have to consider other folks who are also citizens, but only if no veterans apply past 37. Hopefully we can get it completely full with 80 veterans, but the only scenario where there wouldn't be a veteran in there is if no veterans choose to apply to location. They are guaranteed the first 37 and then the preference on the next 43. And it's our goal to fill it up through this nonprofit with veterans. Now, all the other affordable housing that you see around town, whether it be at Stratford, whether it's in Mill Lake, Monroe Manor, that's not designated for veterans. Almost all the affordable housing that you see in the state is not designated for veterans. So this is very unique in trying to prioritize and make sure that veterans can get into this, and they will absolutely have the right to go in first and before everyone else. So we're pretty excited about it. When Mayor Tamburo did it and Mayor Delina did it, This is about obviously recognizing, what the veterans have done for our country, and that they should have the priority to be able to utilize these facilities.
Fine. If you, just quickly, if you
Sure.
don't get enough vets, okay, however you advertise the VA or whatever, if you don't, who can that go out to?
So if we leave it empty, hypothetically, then the developer, then we'd have to build more housing if you don't fill up all 80 units ultimately. You wouldn't in general leave them empty. Otherwise, you wouldn't get the credits. And I know this sounds a little difficult, but every time you build one of these all affordable housing units, and when we build them ourselves with affordable housing trust fund money that is paid for as 2.5% contributions when people build stuff. When we build those, there's no 4-to-1 ratio. It's just the one. So you're really saving 320 market rate units. You heard comments earlier about the school by building these 80s without that 4-to-1 ratio. So the priority will be to veterans. We'll need everyone's help to help, solicit veterans and their families as well.
We will be aggressive.
And we will be aggressive, and we can use everyone's help in doing that. And I'm happy to come out and speak to groups. We've done it at different veterans groups all throughout the different communities.
Will this be on a future agenda, this topic of, the housing for an agenda to come up, or?
Well, I don't know if it'll be specifically on an agenda, but now that the project is about 40% complete, you're going to see in the spring and the summer the outreach, because if it's more than a year away, they don't really do too much marketing until it's a little bit closer to opening up. So you'll start to see that outreach, but we're available anytime. I mean, you can always come to a council meeting and always bring it up at the end, but if you want to grab my card at the end, or Kevin McGowan, or Tanya, if you want to just raise your hand down the end there. She works on affordable housing. We can come out and speak to you in any forum. We can sit in this room without a council meeting and answer questions. And we're going to work with all the veterans groups at all the different communities and posts to try and find the people from, and not just Monroe. It could be from all the different, happy to do it.
Okay.
Thank you. Great question.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council? Oh, you're second and you are third. I had asked Dr. Prakash to wait for this woman. Please, sir.
Thank you, President. Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. I would like to thank Wayne Halbert, Christopher Webin, and Mark Rozumich. Okay, we have about 15 acres of open space behind my house. Okay, we have about 60 houses, 15 to 20 acres, and it is a water retention. So they came up, cleaned the things, removed the trees, and made it very beautiful. So we thank for them taking care of it. Now the birds can fly in, the turtles can move in, so it is very friendly. So I thank. And also, when we were coming out of our community, the stop sign, I said, complained about it, the trees are blocking. They came and cleaned up, so thank you very much for follow-up. Then the next one is, I did attend the community awareness, which was organized by our police department on February 22nd at Senior Center. It was 1.5 hour presentation.
Yes, I was
practical presentation with examples, and one of the officers has videotaped it. So I called police department today, and they are editing that video. And tomorrow I had to follow up. They told me to call tomorrow, so it will be available for the public. And I request public to hear that, take a time. Every day watch 15 minutes because it's going to be 1.5 now. But the presentation is very practical examples, so I do appreciate public to do that, and I thank mayor and council and the police department for this outreach program. And lastly, Snow was there. Our, public works department did an excellent job, so thank you very much. Thank you.
Ma'am, yes, please. Those boots.
Hi, Lucille Penos, 1208 Sealandera Plaza. I neglected to ask this before. The resolution 086A, what was the corrective action needed?
Alan?
Sure, if I could, yeah. So the audit was clean, but it was a little bit later than planned. So we should have finished it by the end of the year, and we were a month or two late. So the corrective action plan is to just do it a little bit quicker next year.
That's the only thing.
That's the only thing. That's
I
right.
was questioning before. Why is this?
It's the only thing.
All right, well,
Anyone else waiting to address us, please? Your name and address for our records.
Jenny Ludis, Jamesburg. I want to thank Mayor and Council for all the wonderful programs and events and all the great services that you provide for your residents. I'm lucky enough to come and participate in all your great events that you do and programs, and I want to commend you on what a great job that you do for the residents of Monroe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the council? Seeing and hearing none, I would like to entertain a motion to close the public comment section, please.
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second on that? Hello?
Second.
Thank you so much. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
May I have a second? Second. Thank you. We are adjourned.